it's approaching the supreme moment. Reality striking closer than it seems, don't it? Go ahead, it's for the taking if you want it. If not, the dream dies and you'll be forever haunted. Then confront it.
What's good? So in the last video, I tested out the Tech Vegito Blue unit on this new difficulty event. This one is going to be featuring the LR Vegito Blue unit and see how that guy does on this event. So let's go ahead and talk about it. But before I do, I also did replace the Strength Rose unit with the LR Goku Black. In the past couple of runs, that unit's actually done better than the Strength version. So we'll talk about that here in a second as well. So as far as LR Vegito Blue goes, the unit also does have the ability to raise attack and defense for the 12 key super and also cause colossal damage to enemies. So it's definitely beneficial for this type of event where it's actually dragged out for a long period of time. The 18 key will greatly raise attack for one turn and causes mega colossal damage to enemies. So the way I played it and the way I would recommend is stack up the attack and defense as much as possible with the 12 key early on. That way, long-term wise, it's going to benefit more because of, the continuous ability to raise attack and defense throughout the early parts of the battle. Now, in terms of the passive skill, it is an attack and defense increase of 80%, but also raises ki by up to 10. The less HP remaining, the greater the ki boost. So in this type of event, LR Vegito Blue can definitely do pretty well because chances are you're going to have lower levels of HP throughout certain areas within this event. So it's definitely beneficial for this type of unit to have that sort of passive. Now, in terms of the Goku Black unit, it's also pretty good. I think the biggest advantage with this unit is the ability to raise defense by 30%, either 3 turns or 6 turns, depending on the 12 key and 18 key. But the defense increase definitely does help, especially with the enemy types being agility types for the early on portions of the battle. But unfortunately, at the very end, you are facing the intelligence version, which this unit will be at a type disadvantage scenario. The other good thing about LR Goku Black is the 15% HP recovery at the start of the turn, so that definitely does help get that HP levels up a little bit over the course of every rotation the unit's up. In addition to that, attack increase of 30% for every attack received up to 120%. So all that definitely does help. I did include the transforming Goku Black unit as well. So in certain rotations, they definitely do link up pretty well together. Now, you're not going to force links between the two and keep them on the same rotation throughout the whole battle. This type of event doesn't provide the luxury of really being selective about the rotations. Now, certain units you definitely do want to keep in the same rotation, but you definitely don't want to be restricted to being hard-headed and keeping the same rotations. You know what I mean? So to provide a little bit more color, this team is definitely similar to the last one I did. Again, I replaced the Strength Rose with the Goku Black and LR Goku Black, and then the Tech Vegito Blues replaced with the LR Vegito Blue. So in terms of the potential levels, of course the LR Vegito Blue is at 100%, level 15 additional attacks and level 11 for criticals. That setup actually works quite well for Vegito Blue because, again, the ability to raise attack and defense with the 12 key with level 15 additionals, you actually increase the odds of that happening quite a bit. So that's the setup for Vegito Blue, and then Goku Black is just one dupe, so not too much potential levels toward that. Friend lead for LR Vegito is at 100%, level 15 on critical, so I definitely did choose units that had more higher levels toward criticals. And then let's see, Super Vegito, the physical type, is at 55%. The only reason why I included this unit on the team for this is because of the very last battle when you're facing the Intelligence Ultra Instinct Goku. You're really not going to expect much out of the Super Vegito unit at 55% in this event. Really, it just comes down to the only reason why I included that unit is because of damage mitigation and type advantage in the very last battle. And I think, did I miss anyone? Let's see. Oh yeah, Kefla. How could I forget about Kefla? So I talked about it in the last video, but I cannot stress enough how important and helpful Kefla is on this event with this particular category team setup. Kefla can super up to 3 times for every rotation or turn, and with each super attack, you have the ability to greatly lower defense. So you could essentially, well, I wouldn't say 3 times max, but it is 3 times max. But on average, you're probably looking at about 2 super attacks every time Kefla attacks. So that is 2 times you actually get to greatly lower the enemy's defense, and you know that definitely does add up quite a bit. It actually helps the rest of the team out in terms of being able to apply much more in damage over the course of time, and it will make life a lot easier. The other good thing about Kefla is not so much the attack, but defense increase of 12% for every key collected. Now that's going to help you in terms of being able to defend a little bit better than some of the units, especially at the very last battle against the Intelligence Ultra Instinct Goku. That's going to make things a hell of a lot easier. Now, the unit also does have the medium chance to evade enemy attacks. I don't see it activate too frequently, so it's not even worth really mentioning, but you do have occasions where Kefla can dodge enemy attacks, so that definitely does benefit as well. But more or less, the biggest benefit is the super attack ability to greatly lower defense, and also defense increase of 12% for key collected. So, you know, that all that definitely does help the overall, I guess, flow of the team a little bit. But again, the highlight of this showcase and video is going to be the LR Vegito Blue unit. Actually doing quite well. And I guess the good advantage this unit has is the fact that you're not going to be in a type disadvantage scenario like the Tech Vegeta Blue unit will be against Ultra Instinct Goku. Now, as all of you probably know by now, both versions of Ultra Instinct Goku will dodge attacks quite a bit, especially the Intelligence one. And it seems like it definitely does drag out the battle quite a bit. So you definitely want units that have the ability to incrementally over time increase, you know, either attack or defense or both, you know. So that's the advantage, you know, LR Vegito Blue brings to the table when you're facing this type of enemy in this type of event. So I think in summary, you know, that's pretty much how I would explain the benefit of Vegito Blue. Either way, you know, either versions work. I think the advantage the tech version brings is that unit has the ability to do multiple super attacks in one turn of rotation. So you can definitely stack the attack and defense a lot quicker than the strength version, which you're seeing right now. But in terms of that unit, you are going to be facing a type disadvantage situation at the very end. So defense is pretty good, even with that in mind, but you definitely do want to rely on items a little bit more than the strength Vegito Blue unit. So I think in overall terms, defense-wise, the strength version is definitely better. I think, in my opinion, less of a reliance on items, but the only problem with the strength LR version is you are going to be facing a lot of agility type enemies early on. So, you know, one super attack could definitely make things quite hairy, you know what I mean? So you got at the end of the day, you have to be careful about it. That's really what it comes down to. So overall, I think Potara definitely works pretty well. Now, I talked about it in the last video too, and you know, other categories and other team setups do, you know, just as fine. Like, I think Movie Heroes, probably Vegeta's Lineage. I'm trying to think. Movie Bosses is definitely doable. It's definitely a little bit more difficult though. It really depends on how lucky you get and, you know, the certain types of units you bring. So it really does come down to that. But, you know, back to this team build, you know, the LR Vegito is so helpful with the countering abilities and defense, you know. That really does make things a lot easier. However, with the 55% no dupe version, since there aren't any levels toward criticals, you're a little bit limited, as you see right now, with the countering. So just keep that in mind. It's more or less damage mitigation. Really, that's what it comes down to. Now, again, the reason why Kefla is so important is once you get a couple of super attacks where you lower the defense, other units like that have the ability to, you know, super attack or counter at a much higher damage output level. So that's where all that benefit comes into play, where you continuously decrease defense over time. It's just going to make things easier for the rest of the allies to be able to attack, so that's really it. In most cases, except for the very last battle, Kefla is more or less used as a floater. I like to keep certain units and certain rotations where it's okay to do that. Now, if there's a situation where I have to break that cycle, I definitely will, but whenever I can, I like to keep, Goku Black and LR Vegito in the same rotation just because of, a couple of links they share. Transforming Goku Black is one of those where it's okay to treat it as a floater, more or less. Now, if you're in a situation where you have tech type enemies, you obviously want to place them wherever it's appropriate. So I don't want to say I confine them in the same deal every time, but whenever I can, I guess I do place certain things at certain locations. But I guess with that in mind, I like to put LR Vegito Blue in the first or second slot just to be able to raise the attack and defense as much as possible before you get to the latter parts of the stages. Just because you want that attack and defense ability to go up as much as possible before you face the much tougher enemies. I would say up until the agility Super Saiyan Blue Goku, things are okay. I really haven't had to use items up until that point of facing the strength type Ultra Instinct Goku. So up until then, things are okay. It's not really that bad. Now, I do take a little bit in higher risks in terms of having the HP levels pretty low, just because I want the LR Vegito units to transform beforehand, so the counter is kicked in by the time you get to Ultra Instinct Goku. In this case, there was a little bit of a delay, so it's definitely going to be easier if you already have them transformed. And since Ultra Instinct Goku does dodge, it increases your odds by the law of averages, essentially, because the more frequently you're able to attack or counter, the more damage you're able to apply and offset the dodging abilities of Ultra Instinct Goku. So that's really the format with that. Now, Goku Black definitely does take a lot more in damage in the last two battles, so I think at this point I treated that unit as more or less a floater. And for this case, definitely collect a lot of ki with Kefla. You want that defense to be a little bit higher as much as possible, I guess, because of the type disadvantage. But after this one, Kefla is going to be at a type advantage scenario, so definitely like keeping them on the first or second slot in that case. So again, as you can see, very little damage with the countering ability if you don't have either dupes or levels toward criticals. So that's definitely something to keep in mind. Yeah, LR Vegito Blue is doing just fine. I mean, the additional attack didn't necessarily kick in, but I think that was about 750,000 in damage. So yeah, I mean that's actually great considering. So the way I played this run, and this is similar in the past couple of runs, is I like to hold off on, again, using all the items, using any items up until Ultra Instinct Goku. Now, once that battle gets here, I use the Icarus item for, the 2 turns that the damage reduction by 30% applies. So I tend to use both of those during the strength part and then save the Whis item for the 40% damage reduction to the last battle, which is the intelligence version. So, and then when necessary, I'll use either the Android 8, which provides 70% HP recovery and defense increase of 50%, or use the Snake Princess, which is a 55% HP recovery and 30% damage reduction for 1 turn. So I like to keep those in reserve and not really use them unless I actually need to, or just save them till the end, and I can pretty much use them whenever I want because I know I'll be good, kind of thing. So that's really kind of how I thought things through. So as you can see, I definitely did place the LR Vegito Blue at the very beginning. A little bit better in terms of defending overall compared to the other 2 units. honestly, I wanted Goku Black to be in the third slot, but since there's so many enemy attacks coming, you pretty much just have to put the LR Vegito unit there. So I don't necessarily want Goku Black to come up, but I think there's definitely a couple of more rotations coming up. So I want Goku Black to be in the third slot by the time we're facing the Intelligence Ultra Instinct Goku. So you do have to plan ahead, you know, a step or two beforehand. So definitely had to take a little bit of a risk there, but I wanted the you know, LR Vegito to transform, got the HP recovery, and it is a friendly, so it's a 100% version, so it definitely does help with the countering abilities. You know, you could definitely see a little bit more damage with that. So in this case, I'm not really worried about Kefla. You know, Kefla has the ability to get multiple super attacks, so even if the first one fails, it's okay. So I actually got pretty lucky on that, where Kefla didn't take any damage and dodged the attack from Goku as well, so that definitely did help a little bit. I think on this run, though, things were a little bit lucky because Goku didn't dodge as much against the Vegito units. In the past, like in the past couple of runs, I was definitely getting very unlucky where Ultra Instinct Goku would dodge a lot and pretty much drag out the battle a lot longer than it should have been. So in this particular run, things were pretty smooth, and definitely grateful for that, I guess. But you know, Goku Black's definitely pretty good. You do actually get an increase for the percent to critical hits. With the transformation, I think it's like 50%, so it definitely does make a difference. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and place the Super Vegito unit in the second slot. I was hoping that LR Vegito Blue will be pretty much able to kill off Ultra Instinct Goku here. So basically the next rotation, well, the rotation after next, you'll have the LR Vegito Blue and Super Vegito in the rotation. That way you don't have to worry about Goku Black being a type disadvantage scenario against the Intelligence version. So again, you definitely do want to think a rotation or two ahead of time, just so you're able to be in a decent position, you know what I mean? Like, you don't want to be in a situation where you have 3 tech types against an intelligence enemy, and then you pretty much have to waste an item for sure, because if they get super, it's an instant KO, you know what I mean? So this is a pretty good rotation right here. I am definitely going to place Vegito up front with the friend lead because all those attacks are coming up, and then Kefla I want to keep in the second slot, not just because I want to maintain the links between all of them, but since she does have type advantage, I think it's better off instead of the 55% LR Vegito. So again, unless you get the critical, you're not going to see that much damage for now. And this Ultra Instinct Goku tends to like dodging when you're activating the criticals. It just seems like that's a common thing that he does. I don't know, like I said in the last video, I don't know if it's built into the code or algorithm or whatever, but it's almost like an if scenario where if unit applies critical hit and then dodge, basically is what it seems like, you know what I mean? But it's all good. I think you know, it makes it more challenging and more difficult. It is a little bit frustrating, but you know, with the right builds and right setup, it's really not too bad. Ultimately, it just comes down to trial and error and trying out different teams and figuring out which teams work out better than others. You know, which units work best against each of these types. You know, that's really what you got to factor in. Now in this case, I'm going to leave LR Vegito Blue at top. Do have one of the items active, so not really too worried about this. Let's actually see how much damage Vegito Blue takes here. So 63,000 is really not bad, considering even with items used, like you can see other units take a lot more than that. So that's definitely beneficial with this unit over the tech version. Is defense is definitely better against this particular battle. And not too bad with the damage applied. Super Vegito is actually doing pretty well, so Kefla again does help out a lot with the ability to lower defense. Things are definitely looking pretty good for this one. Now, if I had dupes of Super Vegito, I think the process or this run would have been a lot quicker. The reason, you know, I think like LR Vegito and Super Vegito, if they had dupes, I think things would have been a lot quicker. The criticals would have activated a lot more frequently, and I think the overall damage applied would have been a lot more than what it is right now. So that's really the kind of disadvantage you kind of face with 55% units in this type of challenging event. But the overall balance of the team, you kind of have to include them on there. So slowly chipping away at HP levels, not doing too bad as of right now. I think we took about 4 HP bars down, and hopefully not too much longer. So again, definitely dodging attacks when you're facing good attack stats output, but it was against Goku Black. I'm okay with that. I'd rather have Goku dodge against Goku Black than some of the other units here. So yeah, I mean, things are definitely not bad. You have 3 items left over, so definitely using one of the Android 8s. Not really needed, but it's better to be safe than sorry in this type of setting, because one super attack could definitely change the tempo and overall flow of it. You could lose momentum very easily just from a couple of normal attacks and a super attack from the enemy. So in my opinion, it's better to be careful than not. So in this situation, I kind of know things are going to be okay. A lot of attacks are coming up with the units on here, and yeah, that's really what it comes down to. It's just really risk assessment. That's really what it comes down to when you're managing items. Alright, so another super attack from Ultra Instinct. 89,000, not bad. And then luckily he didn't dodge that, even though it was 850,000. That's close to 1 million, so that each attack like that counts, So 700,000 without the crit, it's not much, but it definitely does help. And again, Kefla brings that advantage, with greatly lowering defense every super attack. So if you're seeing the benefits of that toward, the end of the battle, you really do see a substantial amount of difference between how much units are able to do in damage output because of Kefla's support. So a lot of attacks are coming, so instead of putting Kefla at the very end, decided to put Vegito at the very end. Plus Kefla is able to lower defense by attacking first, so that's going to help the Goku Black and Vegito units do a little bit more in damage, hopefully. Alright, so about 2 HP bars left now. And let's see how much in damage we get here. So we got one counter for about 400,000. Another one. Oh, and then we got supered on. So yeah, 212,000. So as you can see, definitely a lot of damage taken there, but fortunately we're doing okay. We had plenty of HP left over, so even situations like that, you're okay. That's what I'm saying. It's good to use items when you have the ability to, because sometimes you'll really get caught off guard. Alright, so I know I'm good. I'm going to go ahead and use the item anyway. I don't care. And then I want LR Vegito Blue to finish this off. Might as well, since it's really, this video was centered around that unit anyway. So 2.69, I think, in terms of attack stats, and then 826. So there you have it. That is LR Vegito Blue on this new event. So again, hopefully you guys enjoy the video. As always, thanks for watching, and check you guys out later.